So I'm a black farmer, and a lot of people are wondering, why are black farmers not panicking like a lot of white farmers? Well, let me explain to you.
Black farmers are being left out, overlooked, and pushed closer to extinction. And if it weren't for people like John Boyd Jr. sounding the alarm, this story would stay buried in the soil.
Buy some land. If you can afford a ragged-ass Cadillac and Mercedes-Benz, you can afford 5 acres in the country. Yes, I said it.
And I was a chicken grower for some 28 years for cooked foods, and I lost everything I had due to the upgrades and a bunch of guys that didn't like black folks.
While white farmers are raising alarm over landlords, subsidy cuts, and debt, black farmers remain calm. But why? What do they know that others don't? What are they carrying that's been invisible for decades? This ain't just about crops, it's about generational wounds, stolen land, and a kind of resilience that refuses to scream for help even when it's bleeding. What you're about to watch is a set of powerful clips. You will hear from black farmers across America, from everyday voices to legends like John Boyd Jr. They're not yelling, they're not rioting, they're not storming buildings, they're just telling the truth. And that truth is hard to swallow, because it shows us that silence isn't always about weakness. Sometimes it's wisdom gained through survival. So first, credit to these powerful clips. The name of their owners are put in the video. Please make sure you check them out. Now, let's get into the video.
So I'm a black farmer, and a lot of people are wondering, why are black farmers not panicking like a lot of white farmers? Well, let me explain to you the reasons why. It's because white farmers have been handed everything to them, a lot of them. Not saying all of them, but a good bit of them. And by that I mean this. MLK even pointed out, he said, farmers in the West and the Midwest who were white, they were given land, they were given money, they were given training, they were given a lot. Whereas the black farmers weren't given anything, and the largest civil rights settlement in U.S. history is Pickford v. Glickman, where you had a class action lawsuit, bunch of black farmers all joined the lawsuit, and they won a huge settlement because the USDA was shown to be racist for decades. So because black farmers haven't been given anything, we've been learning to do without, unlike your white farmers. So when things are taken away from you, all your subsidies, all your tax breaks, guess what? You panic. Whereas we've always been going through this shit. So there's problems in privilege.
Black farmers are being shut out again. While the Trump administration rolls out financial lifelines for white farmers, black farmers are being left out, overlooked, and pushed closer to extinction. And if it weren't for people like John Boyd Jr. sounding the alarm, this story would stay buried in the soil. Let's talk about history. Black farmers once owned 14% of United States farmland. Today, less than 1.3%. How, Sway? I'll tell you. Generational land theft, discriminatory USDA policies, and a long history of being denied access to the very tools white farmers receive as default. And now, in 2025, the Trump administration is doubling down, offering federal farm credits, subsidies, and contracts almost exclusively to white farmers. And they're doing it in broad daylight. John Boyd Jr. has entered the chat.
My name is John Boyd, founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association.
John Boyd Jr., a fourth-generation American farmer, is out here telling the truth.
You need to rise up and speak out now, not later, because if we don't, they're going to continue to take this country down a pathway that is going to take decades to get away from.
He says it clearly. It's not that we don't want to farm, it's that the system doesn't want us to succeed. Let's be clear. This is not about charity. This is about fairness, about access, about survival. The federal numbers don't lie. In 2021, the Trump administration handed out $26 billion in pandemic farm relief. Black farmers received 0.01% of this relief fund. And in 2025, with new rounds of credits going out, the same pattern is repeating. White farmers are getting bailed out. Black farmers are getting boxed out.
I'm looking for $5 billion in debt relief, and I'm asking the Federal Court of Appeals to reverse the decision and grant 17,000 black and other farmers of color 120% debt relief.
The stakes are higher than food. This isn't just about crop yields or subsidies. This is about land, food justice, generational wealth, and the right to live and work with dignity. Black farmers aren't asking for special treatment. They're asking for equal footing. We can't keep letting politicians toss our people aside while offering refuge and resources to others, not because they're in greater danger, but because they fit a preferred political narrative. If we care about sustainability, food security, or economic justice, we cannot leave Black farmers out of the conversation. Their legacy is American history. Their land is American land, and their fight deserves our full support.
I don't care what they say. I'm not going to stop fighting, and you should not stop fighting in this country.
Peace, y'all.
Buy some land. Buy some land. Guess what? White farmers are going to be losing some of these farms too. It won't be just black farmers. Some of these mid-scale farmers are going to be losing their farm. Buy some land. If you can afford a ragged-ass Cadillac and Mercedes-Benz, you can afford 5 acres in the country. Yes, I said it. Yes, sir. Stop buying them cars. Stop buying them designer clothes and buy 5 acres in the country. That's the first thing we can do as black people. Don't leave that money in the bank right now. Buy some land when it's going to become available. And you heard it from me first. There's going to be a lot of land for sale in America, and we can't let Bill Gates and China and the rest of the people buy it. That's the first thing. We have a rich history of farming. I bet everybody on that panel came from somebody's farm and somebody from one of these southern states here in the country, and we have a farmer in our family. Tell the rich story of history of what our forefathers did. We own 20 million acres. We're the best farmers ever in this country because we survived with no loans. We survived with discrimination. We survived with ag companies not supporting us. And we're still here by the grace of God. And guess what? We're going to survive that. You want to know why? We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. We survived sharecropping. All the things that they thought would put us out and put us down, we're still here. We're still here by the grace of God.
A lot of white farmers are scared. They're struggling with new rules, losing money, and blaming the government. Some of them are even crying out for help. But you don't hear much from black farmers. Why? Because we already know the game. For years, black farmers have been left out on purpose. The system was built to push us out. Our land was stolen. We were denied loans. We were shut out of programs that white farmers used to grow rich. So now, when Trump's policies or government changes hurt white farmers, we don't feel the shock the same way. Why? Because we were never included in the first place.
Have you noticed that there's one group that has not made any noise or made videos complain about Trump's policies hurting them or their business? Black farmers. How many videos have you seen of black farmers, excuse me, making videos going, oh, I'm going to lose my farm because Trump cut off benefits. I'm going to lose my farm because the Department of Agriculture no longer gives me subsidies. How many videos have you seen of black farmers?
Have you ever wondered why we rarely hear about black farmers here in America? It's not by mistake, but more by design. There's a lot more history to it than we know. So let's get into it. Here are 3 agriculture facts with Rancher Corey. Today's topic, black farmers in America. 1. In the 1900s, there were nearly 1 million black farmers here in America. Today, less than 50,000 remain. We went from owning acres and acres of farmland to barely making a guest list at the farmer's market. 2. Discrimination Act from the USDA Loan Department prevents black farmers from having enough money to expand or even enough money to keep their land. That's like asking for help with a rake and they hand you one with no handle at all. 3. Black land loss is one of the highest raising statistics here in America. About 90% of black farmland owned today is gone. It's not just dirt disappearing. It's wealth, culture, and many traditions behind it. When we lose black farmers, I lose many of my roots and many untold traditions before me. And that alone is the reason why we should save the farms.
My father was murdered by a white farmer who was not prosecuted. I made a commitment on the night of my father's death to stay in the South, which was not what I intended to do, to stay in the South and devote my life to working for change.
In 1969, civil rights activists Shirley Sherrod and her husband Charles founded New Communities, one of the first community land trusts in the country.
We decided that black people had lost land so much through the years, we wanted to develop a way of not losing the land. So the land would be held in trust, which meant we would all own it. But then the opposition from white people, you know, there were times they would shoot at the buildings. They did everything to make sure we were run off that land.
To intimidate you.
Yes, we had a pretty big farming operation going until we ran into droughts in the 70s. So it forced us to go to the local USDA office to try to get an emergency loan like all farmers were getting. The guy said, "You'll get a loan here over my dead body."
Really?
Yes. Put us into a 3-year fight just to try to get a loan with continued drought and not having the money needed to operate the farm in the way that it should have been operated.
So essentially you all were squeezed out of ownership.
Yes, there were programs that they should have been offering us, which would have given us a chance to save everything.
Have you noticed that there's one group that has not made any noise or made videos complain about Trump's policies hurting them or their business? Black farmers. How many videos have you seen of black farmers, excuse me, making videos going, "Oh, I'm going to lose my farm because Trump cut off benefits. I'm going to lose my farm because the Department of Agriculture no longer gives me subsidy." How many videos have you seen of black farmers doing that? That's because black farmers have historically, till this day, been excluded from all government subsidies. So right now, every white farmer is learning how to survive the same way black farmers have been surviving. Like I said, what Trump was going to do was bring every white American down to the black American level. Welcome to nigga.
Have you ever wondered who's really been helping keeping our farms alive here in America? You'd be surprised to find out it's our friends south of the border. Let's get into it. Here are 3 agriculture facts with Rancher Corey. Today's topic, Latin American agriculture. 1. Latinos make up over 75% of the U.S. agricultural labor force. If every food had a label for who made it, it'd probably say hecho por manos latinas. 2. Many of the Latino workers here in America today come from generations of knowledge, not just about labor, but leadership, leading the next family generation into our line of American agriculture as well. 3. Despite their role here in American agriculture, they actually face some of the worst and harshest labor protections. They feed our American agriculture, but they can't even feed themselves during a lunch break without stressing. That doesn't add up at all. Respecting the land is also respecting the many of hands that help us get here today. And that's why we should save the farm.
Black farmers. Imagine how healthy we would be if we had more black farmers. Or let's pretend we have only black farmers, right? I'm talking about the way that the Midwest is going to fall apart without federal funding, specifically all of these farmers, right? But one group that's going to do well is black farmers because they never got all of these handouts. And so I am not opposed to a strategy where we do let some of these rural Midwestern towns kind of fall apart on their own doing and take that as a redistricting opportunity. But think about this. Native Americans, how much healthier would our planet be and our land be if Native Americans had more farmland, which will be one of the groups that have the cash to do so. So I don't know, it's a silver lining I'm trying to think of. I was just trying to think if I've ever known a major farm or plant to have a food recall that was black owned, and if there is, I certainly can't think.
I'm Carlton Sanders, and I'm from Forest, Mississippi, and I was a chicken grower for some 28 years for Cook Foods, and I lost everything I had due to the upgrades and a bunch of guys that didn't like black folks. That's the bottom line. I mean, if people knew how much trouble we were having trying to grow these chicken, they would stop eating chicken. I mean, it's just that simple. Because nobody wants to be like I am now. Done lost everything and pitiful looking and talking. And people don't want to do that. But now Tyson and Cook, ooh, it's just like you in hell with those guys. Yeah, I used to cry and couldn't stand to come by here because I did everything from scratch. And I'd been here for 30-some years. Had a beautiful garden. You know, everything was just good and perfect. So, you know, therefore, it just made a mess out of things. Have to get out and move somewhere else and relocate. And you know how it is. It was just hard, all over. This was my #1 house right here on the Carlton Sanders farm. And I did this for 28 years right here at this farm right here. One year, and I would have had everything paid for, from $750,000 down to $50,000. They found out somehow that I'm about to get everything paid for, and they wanted me to do all upgrades, so they would put me back in debt some $500,000, and the bank wouldn't do it. First, the bank was on my side. So we are sick of these chicken farms and the way they operate. And then all of a sudden, when they got ready to cut me off and kill me, then the bank pulled in with them. My son got the money to buy the place, and once he got the money, they wouldn't let him have it. The man told me, said, well, he told my son first, he said, they trying to put your dad out of there. They sold for $110,000. That's what this guy got it for.
How much did you have to pay?
I offered him $150,000. It was a racial thing, a black versus white, and if I'd have been a white guy, I never would have went through this. And they didn't have no mercy on me, and I don't wish this on nobody. And a farmer shouldn't have to go through this, you know, when he's feeding America. He shouldn't have to go through this. Nobody should have to go through what I done gone through. So, like I said, I thank God I'm still living and things as well as it is. And you know, that's just how it is. I'm thankful and blessed. Chicken is the way of life in Mississippi. Now, that's where you're gonna find your black guys that on the truck and catching the chicken. It's pretty dangerous because right now, with this corona thing out, these people get sick and die or get sick, they just roll another black guy in this place and tell him to keep on getting up. It's terrible. If people knew what kind of mess was going on just to get a piece of chicken, they would stop eating it. Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Senator Doug Jones, they wanted to help. So we're trying to get a bill passed as to how we can handle these problems and help other growers not to grow through what I've gone through. You know, I look at it like Martin Luther King and Lewis. Those guys can do it, I can too. I want to be heard, and I want to be heard from. You know, we were supposed to meet Donald Trump, but he chickened out, he wouldn't do it. He said he didn't think the farmer was having that much trouble. He said, because he didn't hear nothing about it. Yeah, just because he don't hear nothing about it, that don't mean it ain't happening. You know, it's just tough. And then so many people laughed at me, and then so many people cried, you know. But I did the best I could with what I had to do, and you know, tried to make it.
The reason this video hits different is because it's not just about farming. It's about who gets protected in America and who has to protect themselves. When white farmers lose subsidies, they panic because those subsidies were always there. That is how you know it was never a level playing field. See, black farmers aren't quiet because everything is fine. They are silent because this ain't new. They've been through droughts, discrimination, lawsuits, stolen land, and still found a way to grow something out of nothing. That kind of pain trains you to endure. Let's go back to clip 1. The brother break it down so clear. He mentioned Pickford v. Clickman, the largest civil rights settlement in American history. Black farmers sued the USDA because of decades of racism, and they won. That's not conspiracy, that's a legal fact. Now, compare that to what's happening today. Black farmers ask for equal access, and they get ignored. White farmers lose the extra help they've always gotten, and it's a national emergency. Now, let's talk about the second clip. It shows how black farmers once owned 14% of the US farmland. Today, less than 1.3%. That's not a lack of work ethic. That's generational land theft, bad USDA policies, and banks playing both sides, especially in the South. And then there's John Boyd Jr. out here sounding the alarm. He is not asking for handouts. He is asking for fairness. In his words, he said, "It's not that we don't want to farm. It's that the system doesn't want us to succeed. That line right there, that's the true federal folks don't want to hear. And let me tell you, if 2025 is any indicator, the same old system is doubling down. White farmers are getting bailouts, black farmers are getting boxed out. And then we get the last clip, Carlton Sanders. Now, that is what systemic failure looks like. The man gave 80 years of his life to growing chicken for America, then get pushed out of the moment he was about to own his farm free and clear. They forced him into upgrades to drive him back into debt. And when he and his son had the money to buy it outright, they sold it to a white buyer for less just to keep it out of his hands. That's not just business, that's a message. This land is ours, not yours, even if you earned it. That kind of injustice wears on the soul. But listen to how Mr. Sanders ends his story. Not bitter, not broken, just saying the truth. A farmer feeding America shouldn't have gone through this. And he is right. Now, why is this important for you watching this? Because food justice is economic justice. Because when you talk about black struggles in America, we can't keep ignoring the rural part of the struggle. It's not just the cities, it's on the land, it's in the soil, it's in the history books you weren't taught in schools. And honestly, that's why this silence from black farmers is not apathy, it's wisdom, it's strategic. They know the game, they've played it longer than most. So when you see white farmers panicking and black farmers quiet, that's not because the system is fair now. That's because one group is used to storm and the other is just feeling rain for the first time. If this conversation hits you hard, like the video, share it with someone who needs to understand what black farmers have been through. If you want to support more videos like this, hit that join button and become a channel member today. Because their silence doesn't mean they are invisible. It means they are resilient. And we need to make sure that their stories are heard, loud and clear. Until next time, stay aware, stay grounded, and stay strong. Peace.